guys, welcome to Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews. I am your host Boise and this is Raw Review. The date is February the 11th, 2019. We have a packed Raw episode for you. We have Becky Lynch back on Raw. Again, we have Mr. McMahon making a huge announcement as well. And we have probably one of the best Raw tag team matches we have ever seen. This and so much more, guys. Here's the Raw Review. Hit the music. So we kicked off the show like we usually do with a recap of what happened last couple of weeks, and this was a recap of Becky Lynch's actions with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Becky obviously attacking Stephanie McMahon on Raw and being suspended, and then she had a face-to-face confrontation with Triple H on SmackDown the night after. This time around she was invited to Raw because, surprise, surprise, Becky had gone to see her own doctors and they have medically cleared her. So Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were pretty much doing the recap on that until they were interrupted by the man herself. Both Triple H and Stephanie McMahon agreed with Becky Lynch's doctors that she will be medically cleared to wrestle at WrestleMania, but they will only allow the match if Becky Lynch is apologetic over what she did to both Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. But I will give Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, in their own way, they did apologise to Becky Lynch, obviously in an arrogant, heel, authoritarian way, but they did apologise. And they wanted Becky to apologise. Obviously, the man wasn't going to have any of this, and she recapped about how both Stephanie McMahon and Triple H and the McMahon family have screwed over superstars in the past, and she wasn't going to do it. Triple H gave her the opportunity and said, look, you've got the rest of the show to think about this. If you want your WrestleMania match, you can go and think about it, and if you do apologise, you will get Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. And I'm not going to give this a score. I'm not going to give this a score right now because obviously this is continuing throughout the show, and I'll talk about it when it comes to the final segment of the show, which is the last bit. So I found this great. I think Becky Lynch's promos were brilliant. Her chemistry with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon is absolutely fantastic. This is a great opening segment. Really gets the crowd excited because Becky Lynch, again, like I keep saying, is the hottest commodity that WWE have to offer right now, and the fans are eating it. And this is a great way. Will she not apologise? Will she get the WrestleMania match? It's the match we all want to see as wrestling fans, but are we going to see it? This is exciting times, and it's a great build-up through WWE. So like I said, it's not getting a score just yet. It will get a final score at the end of the show. We kicked off our first match of the night with a triple threat tag team match. This was actually really interesting. It's a great build up for the women's tag team elimination chamber match, and it was awesome because the stipulation was whoever lost the match, whichever team lost the match, they would go in first in the elimination chamber. And I actually thought this was a good little stipulation. It added a little bit of suspense to the match as well, because obviously you don't really want to be in this match, because if you're in it, you're going to lose it, and Corey Graves explained it quite well. It started off with both Nia Jax and Sasha Banks looking at each other. Sasha gives Nia a right slap across the face, and then she tags in Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan doesn't even expect it. She gets tagged in, and that's where Bayley and Sasha really worked the match for a majority of it until to the final third, where it was Sasha Banks and Bayley who were watching on well. The Riott Squad and Nia Jax and Tamina got to showcase what they were able to do, and they really actually got to do that, which was nice. The Riott Squad showed off their chemistry, and Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, you don't expect to have a huge amount of chemistry, even though they've been tagging for nearly 2 years. That's, you kind of forget they are actually really good tag team. And Tamina and Nia Jax comes across as the powerhouse of this whole women's tag team division, which, again, no real surprise. The match really got interesting, like I said, at the final third. Sarah Logan and Ruby Riott took out Sasha Banks, which, again, was like a hint of what happened last week when Sasha Banks got injured. She couldn't compete, and it was Bayley by herself. Bayley competed again fantastically. She is a workhorse in this women's division, and she really showed off her abilities in the ring. She was able to fight off both Nia Jax, Sarah Logan, Liv Morgan, and Tamina for quite a bit of this match, until it really got to the final bit where it looked like Bayley was going to do the impossible yet again, where it looks like she was about to pin Liv Morgan, but they got interrupted by Tamina. Tamina super kicked Bayley in the face, knocking her out. That after Liv Morgan being Bayley to belly into the ring, Tamina drags Liv Morgan over to the corner. Nia Jax tags in, Nia Jax Samoa drop, pins Bayley. Tamina and Nia Jax get a big win for themselves, and that's, you know, good for them. They needed this type of win. And Bayley and Sasha Banks, who were hot favourites to win at Elimination Chamber, are now put in that underdog situation. How will they outlast all these other teams at Elimination Chamber on Sunday? Really good bout. I really enjoyed it. I think the chemistry with all the women in the ring was really up there. I think it was definitely that stipulation really added a bit more, you know, tension to the match itself. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 star. I think it deserves that. Next up we had Elias. Now this whole segment was pretty much a parody of what's happened all year throughout Elias. Since he's come back to being heel, he's been interrupted. First time round, he was interrupted with a backstage segment with Becky Lynch and Finn Balor where they were talking. Next up, he was interrupted by a commercial break. And third and finally, he was interrupted by the Lucha House Party, who said they only came out to walk with Elias. Elias plays his song. They kind of give him all 3 thumbs downs. The crowd are chanting "You suck," and Elias cuts a heel promo. He talks about the Grammys, how he's not appreciated. You know, he's the hottest entertainer on the planet right now, and no one understands. And he asks the Lucha House Parties, what do they want? What can they do? One can dance, one can sing, and one can play the guitar, apparently. Gives Kalisto the guitar. He says he can play it. He has a good, plays pretty well. I know they're playing some guitar music through the speakers. He's not actually playing the guitar because his fingers did not move at all. And he goes, let's do a duet, and everyone's getting really excited, and Elias just whomps him down with the guitar and leaves the whole set. He bolts it up to the top of the stage. But yeah, and that was it. That was kind of it. I'm hoping this is not what we're getting for, you know, at Elimination Chamber. Hopefully this isn't going to build up to a big feud. We only have like 1 or 2 matches and that's it. But this is not a feud I don't think anyone really wanted or asked for with the Lucha House Party versus Elias. This is a shame because Elias was, and I agree with a lot of people saying this, he was a good babyface, and him turning heel against Jeff Jarrett just was a stupid call from WWE Creative, and I think they're going to suffer for some time, and it's going to fall from grace for Elias really, because he was pushing for Intercontinental titles, he was pushing for a bigger spot on the WWE Raw roster, and now it just feels like he's just completely lost all momentum. I'm going to give this segment a 1.5 star. I just felt like there was nothing really into it. There's not a feud I really want to see, and it's just a shame how WWE Creative are using Elias as we speak. Next up, we had the advertised match of Finn Balor versus Drew McIntyre. I was kind of reluctant to this match, to be honest with you guys. I felt like we've already seen Finn Balor versus Drew McIntyre a few times throughout the year, and it felt like a very similar match to what we got. Luckily enough, there was a lot of differences, and it led up to something actually quite good. We had Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush come out first. They were watching on around the ring, and they really interrupted the match a lot. The referee called off the match once Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre. Pretty much, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley attacked Finn Balor when it looked like Finn was getting the upper hand, and referee called off the match. Kurt Angle comes out to help with the attack from both men. He does do a fantastic job until Baron Corbin comes out of nowhere. He starts attacking Kurt Angle. This allows Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre to attack both men. And next thing we know, it is Braun Strowman's time to come out. He takes out Drew McIntyre, takes out Bobby Lashley, takes out Baron Corbin, and obviously Teddy Long must be in the building, because the next thing we know, we're getting a tag team match. Holla, holla, player, player. Yeah, so I'm going to give the match itself, the singles match, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 star because there's always good chemistry between Drew McIntyre and Finn Balor, and the interruptions between Bobby Lashley were quite early on, and him getting frustrated that Drew couldn't put Finn away quickly was obvious. So, and we got a very much Teddy Long kind of style tag team match out of this. So 2 out of 5 star. So this led to the 6-man tag team match where we saw Braun Strowman teaming up with Kurt Angle and Finn Balor taking on the heel team of Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley. This for me was a really good 6-man tag team match, mainly because there was so many swerves in it. And Finn Balor is a great seller. Kurt Angle gets taken out of the match quite early on. He does take a part into it. He does tagging and he works for a little bit at the start of this match, but he is taken out quite early on and he doesn't really get tagged back in. He does help his tag team partners a little bit at the end of the match, but majority of the match he wasn't really involved. It was mostly Finn Balor working the majority of this match, which is great. It just shows you how good of a competitor Finn Balor really is, because before this match started, he was attacked by both Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin, and he worked the majority of this match as well. So out of everyone taking part in the ring, in the match, he was definitely the weakest. The heels were very smart though in their match, because they did the one thing you should really do if you're tagging against Braun Strowman, is take Braun Strowman out, and that's what they did. Braun Strowman for a lot of this match wasn't involved either. He was taken out by 2 Claymore kicks to the face. It looked like the heels had won when Bobby Lashley took Finn Balor out, but Finn had managed to get his leg on the ropes. The referee didn't see it, he did give a free count. The heels are celebrating in the ring. Another referee comes in. He goes, no. Finn had his legs on the rope. He has to, you've got to restart the match. The official agrees. They restart the match, and I thought, there's two outcomes. The heels are going to win clean now, or it's going to be a quick match and the faces are going to win really quickly. But no, luckily enough, we had some more time to it, and they added a lot more time to the match as well. And it was like, that swerve nail finish really added more momentum to it. Finally, Braun Strowman gets back up. He gets that hot tag which had been building up throughout the whole match for Braun Strowman to get involved. He takes out all the heel teams. He tags Finn Balor in. Finn Balor coup de grace from the top of the ropes onto the Intercontinental Champion Bobby Lashley. He gets a free count. The babyfaces do win, but that is a clear sign that Bobby Lashley got pinned by the #1 contender for his title, Finn Balor. I'm going to give this a 3-star match. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well put together. I think the heel team's chemistry was absolutely brilliant, and the strategy throughout it all was fantastic. Take out the big guy and you might be able to win, and that's what it was. Finn Balor's selling was absolutely out of this world. Again, he just shows you how good of a competitor he really is. When he's given these opportunities to shine, he really shined tonight for me. So like I said, 3 out of 5 star. Absolutely enjoyed this match. Next up, we had a singles match between Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross. Now, for me, when I saw this match was coming up, I was actually slightly excited, because I remember the series of matches these two competitors have had on NXT, and they have great chemistry between each other. But my God, the crowd just didn't care, and it didn't help that during the match as well, WWE were more interested in what was happening backstage with Becky Lynch talking to other superstars than they were about this match. I know what WWE are trying to do. Ruby Riott has a title shot at Elimination Chamber at the weekend, and they want to give her a bit of momentum. But for me, it was damaging for both women. You didn't really need to give Ruby Riott this match, because let's be honest, no one expects Ruby Riott to win. And 2, Nikki Cross lost the match, her first singles match defeat she's had on the main roster, And it's a Ruby Riott just to build up a little bit of momentum for someone who we all know isn't going to win at Elimination Chamber. It is a shame. It is an absolute shame. Because if you're like me, if you're an NXT fan and you're seeing that two women who were absolutely have some brilliant matches against each other on the NXT roster are only having a throwaway match on the main roster is an absolute crime on both women. I feel so sorry for Nikki Cross and Ruby Riott because, like I said, the crowd wasn't invested, even creative weren't even invested because they went backstage to look at Becky Lynch. So I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. They deserve much better. They deserve so much better from creative on that one, but it's just a shame. Next up we have the battle of words between Seth freaking Rollins versus Paul Heyman. Yes, this is a battle of words and both men just stole it. This is Seth Rollins' best promo by far. His best frigging promo. He talked about how his year, now WWE years start and end at WrestleMania. If you're a wrestling fan, you know that. And his year since winning the Intercontinental Champion, the Gauntlet match, all this, all going on to this year's WrestleMania, where he talked about that after 6 F5s he hurts, and he goes, it could be from the F5s, it could just be because of the year I have had where I've held the Intercontinental Champion, I've defended it on, you know, I think he said 6 continents. That's impressive as hell. And then obviously winning the Royal Rumble, and then obviously being destroyed by Brock Lesnar a few weeks back, and that's why he wasn't on Raw last week. But he stated that his year isn't over. His year is nothing to end with. He's going to go to WrestleMania. He's going, even if it's the last match he ever has to compete in, he will go there. He's interrupted by Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman absolutely tricks the crowd straight away and goes, a WrestleMania surprise, the reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, and he's just there pointing to the entrance, and everyone's like, ah! And then he goes, it's not here. And I love that. I love Paul Heyman. When he's on Top Gear, he's brilliant, and he had a great battle of words between Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. Just know how to work off each other, and like I said, this is Seth's best work, where Paul Heyman is talking about how Brock Lesnar is not a man, he's a beast, and a beast will destroy a man. And Seth Rollins goes, if I have to sell my soul to the devil, I will slay the beast. And I thought that was a great ending to it all. Paul Heyman goes off, and then they're interrupted by Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose comes to the ring, asks for the mic, and just goes, slay the beast. And that's it. It's like, I know a few people are a bit annoyed with Ambrose saying that, and like, whoa, you know, you build up this feud, you know, for months and all this, but I liked it. No matter what, like, I think Dean Ambrose is better being this kind of neither heel or face kind of character, and definitely better at that. But he has respect for Seth Rollins. They've had a grueling feud over the last few months, and now, you know, Seth's going off to WrestleMania to take on for the title. I can understand. Dean's probably one of the rare people on the main roster who's taken on the Beast at WrestleMania, so he has more experience than anyone else. And if he's giving him, like, look, you need to win, you need to bring this title back to Raw, I think it was a great homage to that. I don't care if it just ruins months of creative. Screw you guys. I like this little scene. It doesn't mean they're either friends or foes. It's just the mutual respect that Dean Ambrose has for Seth Rollins going in against the Beast. So for me, I'm giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. I just enjoyed it. Great promo work from both men. Next up, we got the reason Dean Ambrose was out was because he was having a rematch against EC3. This, again, another rematch. But it wasn't anything in particularly great or interesting. It was a very similar match to what we got. EC3 was a majority in control of this match. again, I don't understand what WWE are trying to do with Dean Ambrose in this. You know, obviously they made that big announcement. He's not staying at the company, and that was about it. It was kind of like, oh, Dean's leaving the company, but we're still putting him on TV. We're still putting him in, you know, having him interact with big, you know, Seth Rollins and stuff like that. But he's also going into matches like against EC3. And yeah, it really wasn't anything in particular. Dean did get the win by a small package and got the victory, and it was like, oh, right, so 50-50 booking at its best there. I can't really score this match too high. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 star. Again, I'm really confused what they're trying to do with Dean Ambrose in this period of time. If it's all the work with Dean and he's not leaving WWE, brilliant. If he is leaving WWE, why are you having him still interact with the, you know, have him on TV. If you know he's not going to be there, why are you putting him in matches like this? Just do house shows or something like, you know, WCW used to do. But yeah, just very confusing right now. Now on to our main event match of the night, and it was for the Raw Tag Team Championship. This is Chad Gable and Bobby Roode taking on the Revival, the #1 contenders, after weeks and weeks of disappointing results. We got the match I knew both teams could deliver on, and this was a bloody brilliant match. This is the best tag team match Raw has produced, I would say, in year, by far. It's so good. It's so good. Again, it's such a good match. I'm like, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to say anything which will ruin it for you guys. But if you haven't seen it now, pause this video, go and watch the highlights, or actually, screw that, go and watch the whole bloody match. It is worth it. It's about 20 minutes long. It's not even that. It's about 15 minutes long. It's worth every second of watching. Come back and then enjoy this review. Right, now that you've seen it, my God, wasn't it bloody brilliant? This was a fantastic storytelling match. You had both teams going all out. No team looked like they were superior to the other. It was just a masterclass of wrestling. Throughout the whole match, I was watching the Revival. I'm going, they're a bloody Wikipedia of wrestling. They are tag team wrestling at its core. They just, every second I was watching, I was like, this is classic wrestling, tag team wrestling at its best. This is just old school. This is just showing a new audience how tag team wrestling should be, and it really was. Chad Gable and, you know, Bobby Roode, no matter what I've said about them being tag team champions, like, oh, I don't think they really have that chemistry as a team, they shut me up while watching this, because they have the chemistry. They are fun to watch. They are exciting to see, and it was so much fun to watch it. I had to re-watch it because it was so good. Both teams looked like they were about to win either time, but Chad Gable went to the well a bit too many times, as I like to say, and Shatter Machine, the Revival, won. Finally, after weeks and weeks and weeks of building up these tag team chances after tag team chances, and Revival being screwed out a few times, they have finally received the titles they've been craving since being called up to the main roster. Now, I can't wait to see how this goes. Some people online have said, right, if they're going to have another match, let them have another match at Elimination Chamber, and let them have a 30-minute match. I kind of agree. If you're going to do it right. And let the Revival have a long title reign. Let them have masterclass matches like this. Let them have time on Raw to have brilliant tag team matches. I know they're not always going to have 30 minutes, 20-minute matches, but at least let them have 15 minutes every week, just to show what tag team wrestling can really do on Raw. Now that they are the tag team champions, I want to see how teams compete. I know Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins tweeted out that they have been watching and they are desperate to get their hands on the Revival. I hope that does happen, because I reckon those two teams could have a really good chemistry as well. I want to see Chad Gable and Bobby Roode have another opportunity at the Raw Tag Team titles in the future as well. Just exciting times going on with a Raw Tag Team. I know one match can't make up for months and months of messing around with the Raw Tag Team Championship, but let's be honest, this is a great way to, you know, to patch up those mistakes. So for me, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Just a brilliant tag team match. Last but not least, it was our final part of the show, and it was Becky Lynch coming back out to talk to Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. Now the build up throughout the whole night, like I described, was that Becky Lynch was talking to other superstars, giving their advice. Some willing, but she wanted to listen to, like Finn Balor, others like Alexa Bliss, who she didn't want to listen to. But after a while, with Triple H and Stephanie in the ring, Becky goes, if all I need to do is to make sure I get my WrestleMania match, is to apologise. And like the crowd were like, no, don't apologise, don't apologise. I was like, look, if we're going to get this main event match at WrestleMania, bloody apologise. I don't care, you don't have to mean it, just apologise, get on with it, and let's get on with it. Becky did apologise in the end. She did say she was sorry to Stephanie and Triple H. They wanted to shake hands, she had nothing to do with them. And she went, am I back in? And then went, yep, you're back in. They kept their word. Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey comes out, they're in the middle of the ring, and next thing we know, Vince McMahon comes out, Mr. McMahon himself, and he has a message for both women. He says that both Becky and Ronda Rousey have too much of an attitude, that they think they're bigger than WWE, and that Becky, he does not forgive her for what she has done for the last few weeks. So she is suspended for 60 days, and that suspension won't end until 5 days after WrestleMania. And who shall take her place? Well, a woman who knows her place. She knows exactly what's going to happen. And Vince McMahon claimed he's the man. So hopefully we get a match between Becky Lynch and Vince McMahon now, right? We have to. But yes, he announces Charlotte Flair is replacing Becky Lynch at WrestleMania to take on Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Champion. Not just that, he held Charlotte's hand and said, see this, Ronda, this is what you're going to see at WrestleMania, the new Raw Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair. And that was a great way to end it. If you have a look on the WWE website and on their YouTube channel, that clip is literally the most hated clip they've got. It's like, I think it was like 11,000 likes, and I think it was 29,000 dislikes for that. So that just shows you how the audience took that segment. Brilliant. I loved it. The film, so I'm going to give it a final score. So with all the build up and everything going on throughout the night with Becky Lynch, won't she apologise? The start of the show to the end with this storyline lingering. Will Becky Lynch get a WrestleMania match? I mean, Vince McMahon pulling the rug underneath Becky's legs. I think this is interesting. I can't wait to see how they come across this. It's most likely now we're going to get the triple threat match between Charlotte, Becky and Ronda, which is fine. I don't mind that. I'm not a hater on that concept, but I would have liked it more if it was Ronda versus Becky as a singles match more, and I think a lot of the audience would have as well. But it's interesting. It's a great way to keep this feud still going, because let's be honest, the reason Becky's the man is because of Charlotte. So because of that, I like that Charlotte's been included into this feud now with Ronda Rousey. So for me, I'm going to give this a 4.5 star throughout the whole night. I didn't give it a score at the start. This is the final score for it. So 4.5 star out of 5. What a great way to start off this massive storyline now with Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. And there you go, guys, that is Raw for this week. What did I think? I thought it was a really good show. I think there was a few matches on there which you didn't need, like the Ruby Riott Nikki cross match, which was unnecessary, as well as EC3 versus Ambrose. The bits I loved were the Becky Lynch storyline throughout the whole night. The Revivals tag team match was brilliant. Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins promo was brilliant. And Dean Ambrose coming out and, you know, pretty much telling him to slay the beast. Brilliant. Also, I will give a special shout out for the women's tag team match. That stipulation really had a lot more to it, and I think it really, I can't wait to see what happens on SmackDown, to see who comes in as second as well, you know. So for me, really good show from Raw. I really liked it. I think it was better than what we got last week on Raw. So I'm going to give Raw this week a 3.5. No, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to give it a 4. 4 out of 5 stars. It's going to be hard for SmackDown to beat that this week. So, what was your favourite part of Raw this week, guys? Leave it in the comments below. If you do like our videos, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell to keep notified. And if you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at SmackTalkYouTube. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.